This is the fresh install of the blank slate theme as it was in Part 1. Part 6 left off with this menu pair, and jQuery is the next step to bring the menus to this stage. So Part 7 covers the steps of adding jQuery scripts, both generally and specifically for the menus. WordPress uses a method known as enqueuing to do this. In an earlier version, Blank Slate announced that the jQuery library is now enqueued within the blank slate theme. And this is it. On line 15 to 19, in the functions.php file highlighted in the file tree left of screen, which lists all of the blank slate theme files. And on line 18, there's a hook, WP enqueue script, which loads the jQuery library that's built into WordPress by default. A custom script for the menus needs to be enqueued in addition to this, but first, a very quick look at the enqueuing of the jQuery library here at line 18. This enqueue talks to this hook, WP head, left of screen on line 7 in the header.php of the theme files, and this hook tells WordPress to load the jQuery library in this header location, which we can see occurring right of screen and highlighted in grey in the inspector. The script source URL shown in the inspector is a path leading through the WP includes folder, which resides outside of the blank slate theme files, but within the WordPress installation. Viewing it in the site, again, there's the jQuery library highlighted right of screen. So it acts along these lines, from enqueue to hook, grab the library, load in the header. The header is the WordPress default location for the jQuery library. WordPress and plugins are built entirely on that assumption, and so it's best not to move it. Now to enqueue the jQuery script for the menus and see it working before going into more detail. First, to create a new folder for the custom script. In the file tree to the far left, I'm right-clicking into the blank slate theme files and selecting New Folder. I'll name it JS. Now right-clicking on the JS folder, selecting New File, and name it My JScript. Both folder and file can be named anything, as long as the file name ends in .js. Now within the new file, I'm going to drop in a very simple test and alert function. I'll discuss all of this in detail later, but straight on to getting the script working. And so the next step is to enqueue the script in the theme's functions.php file. Heading back there and on line 18, pushing the enqueue of the jQuery library to the last, I'll drop in the code to register and enqueue the custom script. Now line 18 registers the custom script and line 19 enqueues the same custom script. I'll go into detail about all of this shortly, but for now, a basic distinction is that registering a script tells WordPress that the script is there, while enqueue loads the script according to the parameters of the register function. The WP register script function is named here. It too can be named anything, and then on line 19, the same name is used to call or load the script within the enqueue action hook. Here's the file name I gave to the custom script, and its path. The get template directory URI function just before this retrieves the correct path and will always return the URI of the current parent theme, in this case the blank slate theme. Child themes and plugins require a different function to retrieve the correct path. The 1.00 is the version of the script, and this is the first version. Now let's see the script working, and refresh, and there's the alert. And that's it, the script is ready. Apart from a little more to explain, we could leave it there, but I also want to cover other contexts for registering and enqueuing, including conditional enqueuing. For that, let's address these 4 topics. First up is dependency. The dependency is a parameter that's set within the array. In this case, it's jQuery, and it's here in the function at the end of line 18. It means that the custom script is dependent upon this jQuery, and this jQuery is the jQuery library enqueued at line 20. Now, depending on context, which is something that's going to be tested shortly, and depending on fulfilling 2 rules, this enqueue could now be deleted. The 2 rules are, first, that this script is declared as a dependency of another script, and 2, that it's pre-registered, which it is, The jQuery library is pre-registered by default of WordPress behind the scenes, in a similar way to how the custom script is registered here at line 18. So with both rules satisfied, I'll remove it. And to test, in the site, refresh, and the custom script fires the alert. And in the inspector right of screen, the jQuery library loads in the header. So it does still work perfectly. I've said that it's dependent upon context as well, but before I switch contexts and reconsider whether to remove the enqueue function on line 20, we need to know more about the issue of location, the second topic in the list on line 23. And that takes us to the last parameter in the array, which determines the header or footer location of the script. It's currently set to true in our function that's at the very end of line 18. The alternative is to set it to false. Set to true will load the custom script in the footer and will not change the header location of the jQuery library. Looking at this in the site and in the inspector right of screen, they're highlighted. The jQuery library still loads in the header and the custom script is loading in the footer. Now back to the themes functions.php file at line 18, changing true to false will load the custom script in the header location. And it's confirmed in the inspector. The script now loads in the header. So the onqueue hook talks to the hook wp head in the header.php file at line 7, shown earlier, or talks to the hook wp footer line 10 in the footer.php file to load the scripts in their respective locations. A custom script loaded in the footer will help to speed up the site. Too many scripts loading in the header can slow the site load times. For the menus, I'm loading the custom script in the footer and will set this parameter back to true. Again, this does not alter the WordPress default location of the jQuery library which loads in the header. Now to look at another aspect of location, site-wide scripts and conditional, which is scripts restricted to specific areas. And this takes us on to the purpose of registering scripts and enqueuing. The custom script starting at line 18 written this way will fire the scripts across the entire site. Wherever I navigate across the site, the script fires the alert. The first method to make the script area specific or conditional is simply to copy the enqueue and in the page.php file on line 11 paste it in. Finally, wrap the function in PHP beginning and end. Because this script is registered in the functions.php file, it could now be enqueued in multiple locations as simply as this and without the need to recreate the parameters that are stored in the register function back in the functions.php file. So let's run this, and in the site, clicking on any page link will fire the custom script alert. But if I click on posts, which is the home link, we don't see the alert, nor do the scripts load in the inspector. Whereas, again, when a page is generated in the browser, we can see both the custom script and the jQuery library loading in the footer. So now both scripts load only when a page is generated. Now, if the dependency of our custom script was not the jQuery library, this setup could be exactly what's intended, best practice and economical, having both scripts load conditionally only when and where they're needed. But the jQuery library by default loads in the header and site-wide. Again, WordPress is built entirely on that assumption. Where a developer finds reason to modify that default, they would consider all implications, including with any plugins. But now let's revert the footer location of the jQuery library back to its default location of the header, and so back in the functions.php file and on line 19, enqueue the jQuery library again. This will not cause the jQuery library to load twice now. Now let's check that. Right of screen, the custom script is in the footer and loading conditionally. And that's correct, and the jQuery library is safely back in the header and site-wide again. Another method of loading scripts in specific areas is the use of conditionals. So back to the pages.php file, and from line 10, remove the enqueue. Return to the functions.php file, and at line 19, drop it back in, but without the PHP. Now on line 19, write the conditional if isPage and close it at line 21. Check this in the site, and again the custom script generates the alert only on pages and not on the posts of the home link. Now back to enqueuing, which can be used instead of the register function, can be used on its own, and can be written in exactly the same way as the register hook, like this, taking on the parameters. The decisions involve weighing up when it's beneficial to register scripts and when it's necessary to register. For example, it's necessary to register a script that is going to be used as a dependency of another script. It also relates to which method of conditional enqueuing is used. For example, when enqueuing in multiple locations and directly into the relevant files that are outside of the functions.php, it's easier to maintain their parameters from within a single register function that resides within the functions.php. It's also about preferences relating to the organization of scripts. Even if enqueuing a script once in a location outside of the functions.php file, registering it in the functions.php file means being able to see all the scripts listed in one place as the site grows and more scripts are added. Using both enqueue and register functions does not slow down the site. Now onto the add action hook at line 15, which talks to WordPress and says, when enqueuing scripts, call our function, which we've named blank slate load scripts. So now to reset everything to what's required to run our custom script for the menus. And that's it. Line 15 to 21, we're all set. Now still more could be said about enqueuing. There's enqueuing in the back end, for plugins, for child themes, etc. But now back to the custom script itself. WordPress runs scripts in no conflict mode. This means that WordPress prevents the use of the $, meaning we'd have to write jQuery repeatedly, like at line 8 and 12. The reason is to prevent conflict with any other scripts within WordPress that are using the $. Fortunately, with this method, we can create the environment that allows the use of the $. This is a jQuery function, starting at line 1 and closing at line 6, that passes the $, into the function so that it can be used throughout. Here's another method enabling the use of the $, and both methods work. But the document ready method at line 1 will work with jQuery scripts that have been enqueued in the header or in the footer, whereas the second method won't load all scripts or all of its code where the script was enqueued at the header location. Final short steps. JSLint bottom screen at line 1 throws up the warning jQuery was used before it was defined. The script is not in error. This appears because the code editor cannot see or load the jQuery library that is in an external file and a dependency of this custom script. If I run the site in the WordPress application, which can see and load the jQuery library, we get no error warnings. As seen in the console of the inspector, we'd see errors listed in red. So, back to the script. Adding this little snippet at line 1 will resolve the JSLint blind spot. Now the only error warning left, bottom of screen, is missing use strict. I'll include this as a string within the function here. If I save, the warning disappears and all's good. Use strict prevents incorrect code from running, as opposed to erroneous code running with unexpected results. Again, in the console, there are no errors. That brings this tutorial to a close, and in summary, I'll leave this. And with the custom menu script ready to go, part 8 can focus on writing the jQuery that will add the interactivity to the menu pair. So thanks for watching.